Hi everyone, welcome back to Cadence Garden at Westside. In today's video, I want to share something with you that I would say it's a little deeper than usual. And those are lessons that I've learned from losing plants. Yes, I have lost countless plants. And I truly feel that in every plant that I've lost, there are lessons that we can garner about life. You know, let's be honest, gardening is not just this picture perfect thing where everything grows and nothing dies. Not in the least. Gardening is about winning, and it's also about losing. I think the first lesson that we have to learn from losing plant is that loss is a part of life. Loss is a part of growth. Loss is a part of gardening. I am looking around in this garden and I am thinking about the countless plants. Some of them I've actually totally forgotten about them, that I have lost. This plant right here, it is now catching itself back. It's now reviving. But this plant here, the caterpillars had a field day with it and it was almost totally gone. But I did not focus on the part that was gone. Sometimes we have a tendency to focus on what is gone. I focused on what was left of this plant and I babied it and I brought it back to life. And look at this plant today. Look at this plant today. Now, this garden constantly reminds me of the fact that life is about losing. I'm going to show you another plant. Let's go over here and I want to show you this Exura that I planted right here. I haven't even taken out the stick. Let me sit down so you can see it right there. You see that dried up branch? That's an Exura that I have lost because I think perhaps where I planted it was too soggy. What do? Do we sit and cry over the loss? No, we keep going. I think another lesson that gardening teaches us is the fact that adaptability is the key. Gardening teaches you to adapt. When a plant is not thriving, you have to move it. Let me show you some of my latest moves for plants that have not been thriving. All right, so I told you about this. I don't know if I told you about this pot. I had an accident in the garden and the pot broke. But that plant right there, I think it's called a rabbit foot fern. Let's go a little closer. This plant, I used to have this plant in full sun. And this plant was not doing well. What I was getting was a lot of these brown leaves that you are seeing there. But I changed the spot. And because I put this plant in a different spot, this plant is able to adapt to this spot. I want to show you some other plants that I have moved from different spots and how just by that movement, how things have changed. I'm going to show you this bleeding heart. First, I had planted this thing in full shade. This plant doesn't like shade. Look at it today. This plant is so happy. It is blooming. And that's what gardening is about. Adaptability. Putting things in the right position and the right place. Even you yourself, you have to be able to adjust to the changes that life will bring you. You have to be able, if you're in a space and you find that you are not thriving, that your plans are not working, that things are not going the way they should, then move from that space. This is life. Life is about adapting and changing and deciding that, you know what, I am going to do something new and something different. All right, so let's continue. Another lesson that I learned from losing plants in the garden, oh my gosh, this is a big one. Sometimes some plants will no longer serve you. Right here, let me go over here. And this was one of the losses that I had to cut out. Right on this side right here, that you're looking at there, that is the stem of a sandpaper vine. This plant in this position was not doing its best. It was not serving me, and it was not serving the garden right. And I know it looks like a harsh cut, but this one here, I had to decide that I am going to cut loose from this plant. And sometimes the losses or the losing that you will feel will not be other inspired. You yourself might have to decide that, you know what, I need to cut loose. I need to let go. I need to give up, because this thing right here is not serving me anymore. Now, on the other hand, on this side, this is a garlic vine that I'm actually going to put on a different arch so that it can really get a chance to grow and to bloom. Because of this plant here, I almost lost the garlic vine also. And that's why you have to be careful in losing. Make sure that the losing is not going to impact something else that you truly value. All right. Now, I think the next lesson that we have to learn is the lesson of resilience. Now, when we have strong winds, or even if we have like a lot of rain, or, you know, different natural disasters or natural events, one of the things that we do suffer is our plants really getting root rot or those kinds of things. I have suffered a lot of root rot from flooding. Flooding is one of the things that we have here because we're in the low coastal plains. And if you notice, I had to do a lot of building up of the beds of the garden. But let me tell you, I have seen these plants recover from flooding, and I'm taking you now over to this hibiscus that was totally infested by mealybugs. Look at it. I thought I had lost it. I had to cut away. I had to cut back. I had to take away. I had to give up so many pieces and part of this plant. But you know what? This plant is going to bounce back. Just like you in life, this plant will bounce back because it's resilient. I have seen how after the storms, after the rains, after any kind of natural disaster in the garden, I have seen how the garden will decide that it's not going to give up, that it will thrive. The more challenges that I see life throws this garden is the more I see the garden thrive. And that's why I think that one of the lessons that we can learn is the lesson of resilience, because we're all going to experience loss to some extent. All of us will experience grief. We will experience betrayal. We will experience some kind of loss. But the beauty is that just like these plants, we have to be able to come back, but not just come back stronger. And I think the last lesson I want to leave with you is that there is beauty in imperfection. Look at this palm. Do you see the fronds? It has lost some of the fronds. Yes. Look at, I'm just trying to find stuff that will show that. Even this wildflower here, this cosmos that's growing right there, you will notice it's not perfect. There are flowers, there are dried spots. This is a sign of losing. All the dried ones, that's a sign right there that this plant has lost some of its flowers. And that's what we see all the time as we look at the garden. We're going to see evidence of loss. Look at that dried banana leaf. That's loss. Let's see what else. Sometimes we don't focus. Look at the papaya. Look how many of the leaves are in the stage and phase of losing. There's nothing like a garden to really teach us that there is this cycle in life of growth and losing. And everywhere in the garden that we look, we are going to see that. Let's come over here and let's look at the Muscienda. Look at the beautiful flower, but right under here, that's evidence of loss, losing. And that's what life is. Life is growth and life is losing. Every single thing in the garden will depict to us. Look at my Rangoon creeper. Look how many new buds are coming out. But right under there, you'll see the old one that has died and is gone. This is life. Life is growth and life is losing all the time. And I think if we pay attention to this in the garden, sometimes we don't want to face it. What we want to do is we want to just go quickly and pull out the part that shows that, oh my gosh, this thing is dead. Let's look at this beautiful bleeding heart and let's see. Let me show you right under here, right under there is sign, evidence of loss. You see that? This is a garden, my friends. It's about life and it's about losing. Not every plant in this garden is perfect, and that's the same for life. And we don't need perfection to find meaning. We don't need perfection to find joy. We have to find joy in the middle of the despair, in the middle of the loss. We have to be able to find the joy. So I don't know what you're feeling right now. I don't know if you're frustrated by some kind of loss. It might be something as simple as one of your plants in your garden, or it might be something as profound as losing a friendship to betrayal or losing someone that you truly love. But whatever that is, I want you to remember this lesson. Loss is not the end. Loss doesn't mean the end. Look around. It's evidence in everything in our garden that loss is not the end. It is just a part of the journey. And it's always, I think it's a reminder to all of us that in losing, we are also gaining. All right, so I want to thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, keep growing. Tata.